The Magicians podcast is brought to you in proud association with the Magic Circle, Alakazam Magic, and Gigio.
Hello everybody, welcome to the show. My name is Richard Young. You are listening to the Magicians podcast. My guests this week are Paul and Gary, the twins. They're going to tell us all about the empire they've built, supplying special effects to pantomimes and shows all around the world. We'll get to that a little bit later on. But before we go to our great friend Alan Hudson, I just wanted to take a moment to ask you to follow us on Instagram. If you have Instagram, please give the podcast a follow. I update it every day almost, and there's always something fun on there. If you listen to this podcast, if it's part of your life, there is no reason for it to only be part of your life once a week. You can get a little bit of fun every single day by following at the Magicians Podcast. Give us a follow. I would really appreciate it. Okay, let's check in with our great friend Alan Hudson and find out what's going on in the world of magic this week. Alan Hudson, how are you and what's going on, my friend?
I'm very good, and what a week.
It's been great, hasn't it? Did you enjoy it?
What a week, yeah, brilliant. We'll get on to that in a second, but first of all, last week's episode, Tom Crosby, right, when you announced Tom Crosby was going to be on the podcast, I did think it is a tough act to follow because it's coming on after people like the Edit Brothers and Troy and all those, and then, you know, and Tom is not as well known as those people, but I think that was actually part of the charm of it. I really liked it because it may be a bit more relatable for us, you know, sort of UK, well, especially for the UK-based magicians, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought it was really good.
Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, obviously it's very hard for me to always present a complete mix of every type of magic and every type of magician at different points in their careers. So, but yeah, I thought Tom did a great job. I thought he had some really interesting things to say. It was interesting to get an insight into the Rubik's Cube magic, which is so big at the moment, and particularly, actually, as a coincidence, the Adam Black, who won the Young Magician of the Year on Sunday, who you will hear from a little bit later in this episode, he won the competition with some Rubik's Cube magic. So yeah, it's a bit of an interesting time for it, and people are absolutely obsessed by it at the moment, aren't there? There's lots of dealer items. Have you played around with any Rubik's Cube magic at all? Or?
It's not for me, is it? I'm too cool for the Rubik's Cube.
Are you really?
That's my problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I went on stage with the Rubik's Cube, they'd go, "He don't play with the Rubik's Cube. He's too busy being cool."
That's really interesting. Yeah, I guess Rubik's Cube magic doesn't fit everybody.
And no, but it really fits Tom, doesn't it? He's one of the people actually that is a self-styled geek or nerd or whatever, and
yes,
you know, he does really fit him. And what I liked about the interview actually at the end is that bit about Edinburgh, when you were saying, have you thought about this, and have you thought about going back with actually the same show or compilation of the past 3 shows, because it's going in a paid thing. And, you know, I noticed you didn't do that to the Edit Brothers, did you?
No, I didn't. Yeah, that's true. I don't feel I can really offer them any advice.
Yeah.
I think that would be a bit of a silly thing to do. But
that was a good bit, actually. That was really interesting because you know him. And that's why I think sometimes when, you know, you have the big people on, and then you have like the more sort of, you know, UK based that are on the way up, and you know them a little bit, it actually makes a really interesting interview because you do feel like you can chat to them a bit more and level with them and just give your insights a bit. So that's the great thing about the podcast, isn't it? It's like there's some massive people, some people you haven't heard of so much, some people up and coming. It's a real mix. It's good.
Oh, good. Well, we're going to hopefully continue on that vein today. My guests today are a little bit unusual and from a different part of the entertainment industry, so we'll get to that a little bit later on. But come on, let's get to it. Let's talk about the big show at Wembley. Let's talk about it, Hudson. What did you think?
I loved it.
Did you really?
I absolutely loved it. And I'll tell you, the first thing that I loved is, do you remember last week I said, if you come out on that monster truck, right? But there was, and people who are not on the show will not know this, but at the start of the show, there was a little announcement And who was doing that announcement? It was none other than my co-host, Richard Young.
Yeah, they hired a guy, I don't know, an American voiceover to do the, the kind of like, welcome to the show, put your phones away kind of thing. And they weren't happy with it. So, on the Friday morning, I got a phone call from Andreas, who was on the series earlier on, saying, I don't suppose you could just record this for us, could you? In your podcast voice. So I did 2 different versions and sent it over to them. So that was a bit weird.
You didn't think to give me a call at that point?
Didn't. I don't know why. I just don't think they wanted the whole twang for the German show at Wembley Arena. I just...
it was good, because you didn't tell me about that, and so that was brilliant. When the show opened, you went, hang on, I know that voice. That was excellent.
There was only a couple of people who knew about it. I tried to keep it quiet because I knew my friends in the room would find it funny that it was my voice introducing the show.
So let's go through the show, right? So for people that didn't go, 6,000 people at Wembley, Ehrlich Brothers. Let's go through the show a little bit from start to finish, right? Mm-hmm. Not every trick, but just like some moments. So first of all, brilliant bit. There was a support guy came on, like a warm-up guy, just to warm the audience up. Now, I was quite happy with that, because I thought, we're in a massive stadium, it's cold, we've all been sat down. You know, the stadiums aren't the most friendly place, are they? It's not like a comedy club or like a small theatre, where it's warm atmosphere. So you've got everybody to clap their hands and stand up and cheer and wave your arms and, put your hand on the person on the left of you and all those sort of bits. I was quite happy at that. And then what was quite good is just looking across. A few people not into that, were they?
You could literally spot the miserable magicians in the room who were not into it. It was great, and that
really made me laugh though, because we were going, oh, I don't mind this. I know it's a bit weird, right? But I don't mind a little bit of a wave. And then you look across at some magicians, and they're just sat there, steady face, going, not having this.
Yeah, basically, the idea from that, as I understood, is that what they do with it when they record these things for TV, and it was recorded for a television broadcast at some point in the future, was they do this bit at the beginning to warm the audience up, but also they put all the cameras on the audience, so they get all of the shots that they need at that point of people reacting and clapping and cheering and all that. And then when the show starts, the cameras can just focus on the action on the stage.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when you get to the edit, you mix the two together. So
which is fine. And I understand people's point that in a studio audience, when you've got free tickets, it's part of the deal, right? But if you've paid for tickets, that's not part of the deal.
Yes, yeah,
right?
I totally understand.
So I understand people saying, but you go, come on, it only lasted a few minutes and it was a little warm-up. It was fine, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think some people obviously didn't know what to expect and hadn't seen them before. And it's an arena show, so it's not like seeing a magic show anywhere else, is it? And you've got to kind of embrace the venue and it's more like a rock show than it is a magic show.
Yeah, in a rock show you've got support bands on or whatever, or if you've got like if Jerry Seinfeld does a big thing like that, he'll have a support act, and they decided not to have a support act to come on and do half an hour of gags or another magician coming on or whatever. They just got a guy on to tell a few little jokes and got you to wave your hands in the air and have a little dance. Yeah, I thought it was alright.
I thought it was great. So I said last week that I could talk a little bit more this week about sort of what happened, and there was some stuff that happened with me and the show. So
that's right, because last week you had a little something happened, didn't it? So you interviewed them, and then we teased this last week that something happened afterwards.
Yeah, so I didn't have a lot of time with them. They had a very busy day the day we did the interview. But we did have a little bit of a chat afterwards and everything. And you may recall at the beginning of their interview, I asked them, I say, is somebody helping you with the process of bringing the show from Germany to England in terms of the language and jokes and all the rest of it? And they said, yes, we do, but this guy doesn't understand. Anyway, subsequently, they got rid of that guy, I think. And I got a call later that night asking if I would help with the translation from the show from German to English and going over the pronunciations of words and all the rest of it. So as a coincidence, as I mentioned on the podcast, Edward Hilsum and I were in Germany anyway, so they booked us a flight to where they are based. We flew to a place called Paderborn, and then we went to their headquarters and we spent the day with them there, and we went through their show and their script and all the bits and pieces. And then basically I worked with them then pretty much every day from then until the show on Saturday, going through it all, voice notes, Skype calls, all that kind of thing, and wrote some of the sort of British jokes that you heard on Saturday night, some of which worked, some didn't, I will admit. It's a shame we only got to do it once, because I think we could have had fun if we'd have got another go to change some of it. But yeah, that's what happened. So it's been crazy.
Amazing.
Been working with them on the show and all of the bits and pieces, and it's been great fun. I've really enjoyed it, and they kindly thanked me in front of everybody on Saturday night.
They did. That was one of the bits near the end, wasn't it? They'd just done, was it the snow or something?
Just done the sawing in half. Yeah.
Oh, sawing in half, and then all of a sudden they said, we've got one guy here that needs a special mention. Can you stand up? Richard Young.
I looked over at you and you were livid. It was brilliant. What were some of your highlights of the show?
So highlights were Stephen Mulhern getting picked for the comedy magic card in mouth bit,
which genuinely was not arranged.
Yeah, of course but they don't know who he is.
They don't have a clue who he was. And they picked him out, and everyone in the room knew who Stephen Mulhern was, obviously.
Yeah, and they tried to get the guy next to him, and the guy next to him wouldn't, get up. And then so they went, okay, you instead. And he sort of went, oh, all right.
Yeah.
And then he got up, and then there's this moment of all the Brits in the audience going, that's Stephen Mulhern, and they didn't know.
Yeah,
that was good. The other good bit is when they gave the locks out for somebody in the audience to have a look at the locks, they give it to Danny Hunt, escapologist.
You literally heard all the magicians laugh. And I told Chris and Andreas that afterwards. I said, you don't know this, but you picked an escapologist, which they thought was absolutely hilarious.
Well, the comedy magic bit they gave to a comedy, ex-comedy magician, but comedy magician. Yeah, the locks to an escapologist. It was good. And of course, the balloon animal they gave to a kid. They did this balloon animal routine, and they gave it to a kid. But my favourite bit about that is the kid was not interested in this at all, and he in the interval he was walking past us, and he said to his dad, "To be honest, I just found the whole thing a bit embarrassing, really."
Is that what he said?
Yes. And weirdly, never came back for the second half.
That's strange, isn't it?
Yeah. Those are some little bits, but the show itself, I mean, should we do like the sort of the weird bits first? So
yes.
So you might be able to answer this actually if you've been working with them. They did a lot of close-up magic. Like they did a bill switch. They did this balloon routine which lasted about 5 or 10 minutes. They did the card in mouth. They did like this bit where they bent this symbol into a thank you and then a little heart. They did a coin through glass routine. They did quite a lot of magic. It was all projected onto the big screen, obviously.
Yes.
Now, those routines took quite a while. I guess partly because they were doing it in a foreign language. And so it's not as tight as maybe it used to be. But also, they did seem to take quite a while with these routines. Was that planned, or was it just...
I think you're right that some of it was obviously just slowed down because they were, pronouncing it all in a foreign language to them, and so it affected all the timing and stuff. But certainly I do know that a lot of that close-up stuff there is there out of necessity. I mean, the monster truck illusion, which ends Act 1, I know takes 15 to 20 minutes to set up on the stage.
Right.
Well, while they're doing that, they can't be on the stage. They've got to be front of curtain, and they choose to be down in the audience doing close-up magic. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, if you think about all of the big stuff that you saw, I mean, it wouldn't work in any theatre in this country. I mean, Harry de Cruz was there, and he's worked with Dynamo at the Hammersmith Apollo, and even Harry said there's no way that show would fit in there.
Right.
It's just too big, all the illusions and all the big set pieces. So their only option is to do an arena show, which is what we saw, and a lot of people don't think it's the right venue for magic. I understand, but it's what it is, and that's the venues they play, and that's how their business model works. They need that many seats to make the finances make sense, for a show of that scale.
A lot of people and a lot of big stuff, and as you said, they brought across 17 trucks or something
crazy like that. Yeah,
and look, in any show there's going to be bits that you don't like, and I would say in that show, for me, personally, there was about 30% of it that I kind of went, yeah, you know what, that's not for me. But the 70% of it that was for me, I absolutely loved.
Yeah.
And you go, and I think that's probably right of most shows. I don't go to any show and love every single song in a musical, for instance, or every bit of anybody else's magic show. Go, oh, every bit of that was excellent. And different people will like different bits, and all those people that complain about it, you just go, well, all right, do your show then. Do your show in Wembley. Come and see that. It's incredible what they did. I thought it was absolutely amazing overall. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I loved it, and all of the big illusions just absolutely blew my mind. If you have an understanding of stage illusion, honestly, so much of it is just it's so innovative and groundbreaking in both its method and also the way it's presented. There's too many highlights for me to go through it. We'd be here it would be its own podcast if we went into that, but. Yeah, I would say I did see some magicians afterwards who I saw multiple magicians actually post online say things along the lines of I didn't get it. Well, all I would say is if you didn't get it, probably the reason you didn't get it is the same reason your name will never be above Wembley Arena for the night. and also if you felt that some of the presentation of the wording didn't work, well, I look forward to seeing your first show in German at some point in the near future. And Harry de Cruz, for me, summed it up perfectly, and those who are at the show will know what this means. Harry de Cruz said he doesn't understand any criticism of the show because can you imagine how hard it must have been to do the entire second half of that show with a lion escaped backstage? Which is brilliant. So I thought it was one of the best nights for me. I loved it. I loved the madness. You have to go to these shows and embrace all the madness. And
it's all part of it, isn't it? It's the fact that it's so big, it's so ridiculous, it's so camp, and and not only that, everyone was there. Well, it was like a convention.
It really was.
The whole experience of the whole evening, and then the sheer size of it. The whole thing's ridiculous, and them two are absolute stars, aren't they? They dress like this sort of, for us, this sort of 80s sort of style dress, but you go, it's so over the top, and yeah, absolutely brilliant.
Well, we'll get a chance to see them again. So they're coming back next year. That was announced on the night. They'll be at Wembley Arena on September the 26th, 2020, with their new show, which is called Dream and Fly. And I was very lucky when I went to Germany. I got to have a tour of all of their warehouses, their workshops. It's the most incredible setup I've ever seen a magician have. And I really mean that. I've seen a lot of magician setups. Their facility is unreal. And I've seen a lot of the stuff that's being built for that show. And it's going to be amazing. It's going to be absolutely amazing. You have to be there next year, September the 26th, 2020. So, that was Saturday night. Sunday was
Sunday, the biggie.
Young Magician of the Year, wasn't it?
Young Magician of the Year.
This was interesting. You went to the afternoon show. I went to the evening show. The evening one was the one that was actually judged. Did you enjoy the competition? What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I did. I thought it was great. Do you know what? You would think after the Edit Brothers, you go to watch any more magic the same weekend would be a real come down, but I loved it. It's so nice. Yeah, it's so nice just to see some young magicians, all very different acts, doing their thing, and I'd seen a couple of them before at J-Day, but there's a couple that I'd not seen before. And overall, I know we joked on the podcast before about the standard, but I thought the standard was really good. I thought it was excellent.
Yeah, it was really interesting to see several of these acts that were at Junior Day in October, and it was great to see how far their acts had come. There'd obviously been a lot of work done on them, and again, yeah, I enjoyed all of 6 of the finalists. Genuinely, I thought they were all really, really good, and it was kind of. I pained afterwards over it. I was like, it's so unfair to judge them actually, because they're all so different, and to say one is better than the other is kind of, I don't know, feels a bit unfair, but that's how it works. And,
it's that classic thing, isn't it, when in a competition, one of them's doing a sort of silent act, with bottles of wine or, and props to music and stuff like this, and then one of them's doing a patter act with a Rubik Cube. Somebody else is doing a football themed act, mentalism. Somebody's doing a more straight mentalism type act, and you go, how do you compare someone doing a silent routine to somebody doing a Rubik's Cube routine talking? It's just, you can't compare, can you? But that is the nature of magic competitions, and somebody has to win.
And the winner was Adam Black from Scotland, and he came out and opened with a little monologue. He was reading from a book, and the book disappeared when he'd finished, which really caught me off guard. Actually, I really liked that little bit. And then the most of the act then was done with Rubik's Cubes, which is a coincidence, obviously, because Tom Crosby was on the podcast last week talking about Rubik's Cube, and the winner of the Young Magician of the Year had a kind of Rubik's Cube as a big part of their act. So
and it makes sense for kids to have a Rubik's Cube, because kids do play with Rubik's Cubes, and he had, I think, one of the strongest tricks in the entire competition, which was, I don't know if we should spoil it in case he's going to do this, but there was a trick with a Rubik's Cube that went into a bag, and the ending of that routine was one of the strongest bits of the entire thing.
Yes, agree.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
I thought it was really, really good. And
well done, Adam. Really, really good.
I wasn't even sure how it was done, actually, but one of the main reasons that I didn't go to the afternoon and I went to the actual evening competition was I wanted to interview the winner fairly soon after the competition finished, and they were announced the winner, to just gauge their excitement, their enthusiasm. So that's what I did. You're about to hear from Adam Black, and this was him a few minutes after he was announced as the 2019 Young Magician of the Year. Here we go. So here I am with the 2019 Young Magician of the Year, Adam Black. Congratulations.
Thank you, Richard.
How do you feel?
Quite honestly, it hasn't sunk in yet.
It hasn't sunk in?
It will, eventually.
Congratulations, honestly. I thought you did brilliantly. And I'm even a bit fooled by the ending, actually. A signed Rubik's Cube inside of a glass jar. It was a jar,
yeah,
right?
I love that trick. Quite honestly, it's my new favourite.
Well, you're clearly a bit obsessed by Rubik's Cube stuff.
Oh,
because there was
obviously.
some amazing stuff with it. What's some of your favourite? What's some of your favourite Rubik's Cube stuff?
Like Tom said last week, the cube by Takemitsu Usui is fantastic.
Yeah,
it's fairly easy to learn, but it's really fooling.
So who helped you with your act? Did you put it all together yourself? How long's the journey been as well?
Oh, I got help from quite a lot of people. My dad was a main person, and he kind of choreographed the thing. And we sent the video of the heats off to Kevin McMahon, and he sent loads of kind of tweaks, if you like. And we took a lot of them on board, and he's helped a lot over the years.
Where do you live?
It's Dunblane in Scotland. It's
so
kind
you've
of
come
central.
all the way down from Dunblane for this. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
So did you kind of, what were your hopes? Because you're 18 now, so this was your last chance as well.
My hopes were to do a good show, and then it's out of my hands.
Yeah.
So as long as everything goes fine, it's okay.
How long have you been playing with Rubik's Cube stuff?
Oh, I've been able to solve a cube for about 8 years now, and I just picked up magic from Tom, actually, with the cube about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And have been working on it ever since.
It's kind of great that he was on the podcast last week, and it's like this lovely little follow-on. Do you have any dreams or aspirations? Are there some things you want to do?
Well, I'm going to uni this year.
Okay.
And
where?
It's in Scotland.
Because it's free. It's free, right? That's right.
You get it paid for.
Yeah.
I have a choice of two, and so I'm deliberating.
Okay. What are you going to study?
It's either events management on its own or events management with language.
Okay.
Because I love languages quite.
Do you speak any other languages?
I speak a bit of Spanish and quite a bit of French.
Do you really? So what's really interesting, of course, is you got to have a rehearsal this afternoon.
Correct.
In front of an audience, and then you got to... I didn't see that. I just saw the competition tonight. Did it go well this afternoon? Did it go better tonight?
This afternoon was really good. I really enjoyed that performance because there weren't as many nerves and it was just a rehearsal. But I came out of the final performance, the judged one, thinking, I did better this afternoon.
Oh, did you really? You
Yeah.
thought you did better this afternoon? Why was that?
I felt it went smoother as an act
Uh-huh.
than the final judged one.
Yeah.
But
But it went pretty well.
It seems to have gone fine.
Yeah, it went very well indeed, I think you can say. So is there anyone you'd like to thank for helping you with the act?
There are so many people that it's going to be impossible to remember all of them. But just if you helped with my act, then I would like to thank you a lot. And obviously, as we've said, my dad was a huge help with the act.
That's
and
sweet.
He sat through countless performances of it at home.
Yeah.
Correcting tiny little bits. It's quite overwhelming to have so many people.
That's good.
Quite willing to help.
That's good to hear that people have been very generous and have wanted to help you. That's great to hear. So, what are your dreams though? Do you want to be a professional magician, or do you?
If I can make it work,
yeah,
then I would like to be.
And do you like more doing close-up stuff, or do you really prefer being on the stage like you were tonight?
I prefer the stage.
You prefer the stage? Yeah,
it's more fun.
It's more interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's great. Well, listen, honestly, congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
It's amazing, and you know, get as much out of it as you can. I never won it. I was too scared to even take part in Young Magician of the Year, as I've mentioned before. But get everything out of it that you can and enjoy it. Go. My advice to you would be go to the Hard Rock Cafe and have some Oreo cheesecake to celebrate. It's the best cheesecake in the world.
I will consider that.
Congratulations, Adam Black, the 2019 Young Magician of the Year. That sounds good, doesn't it?
It does.
Well done.
He's got a good voice, hasn't he?
He has, hasn't he?
Yeah, and you know what? If the Ehrlich brothers come to Scotland next year, he should do the intro.
He should. That would be perfect.
And do you know what? Can we just say as well that all the magicians that enter that competition, I know it's a cliche that they're all winners, but there was only one real winner, which was Adam. But they're all winners because to get to that stage where you've got your act together, that is the win, isn't it? To me, the win is being in the competition and just going through that process of getting your act together. So yeah, well done everyone. But especially well done to Adam as well.
There's no doubt at all in my mind all 6 of them have got a bright future in magic if they want it. They were all doing interesting things and it was fantastic. And you said they're all winners. Actually, before the competition started, I spoke to a previous winner, Dean Levy, the guy who won it 2 years ago. And that was really cool. Just chat to him downstairs in the Magic Circle and just, he was like a couple of hours away from losing the title to somebody else. But he was saying to me just what a great experience it was winning it and how it's really kept him focused on his own magic over the last 2 years while he's had the title. So it's a great competition, isn't it? Long may it continue. And congratulations to all of the people who put it together. And look forward to seeing it again in 2 years' time. So, Hudson, should we talk about this week's episode?
Yeah, go on. So it's the twins, right?
Do you know the twins, Gary and Paul? Do you know them?
I do not know them. So I know who they are, and I know a little bit about what they do. I know that they used to be, and I'm sure this is all going to be covered in the podcast, but they used to be a cruise act, and then they started getting into putting magic into theatres for shows, for pantomimes, for kudos and other people. That is the extent of my knowledge.
Yeah, well, that's basically right. They were stage illusionists, and they were around in a really interesting period of time when there were lots of people doing it, including like Paul Keeve, who was on earlier this year, and Tim Clothier, all these fantastic illusionists. They were around doing it as well, and they are genuinely twins, but they chose not to use that as a method in their magic. Instead, they are a double act, and they had a great run with the cruises, including they had the biggest illusion show ever taken onto P&O cruises. They did a long contract there. But yes, nowadays you will know them for creating these incredible special effects which fill all the kudos pantomimes at Christmas, and they often supply props and special effects for TV things and movies as well. We haven't had a podcast like this before. These guys have got a very unique perspective in the world of magic. They're doing something that no one else is doing, so I think you're going to really enjoy this. This is Gary and Paul, the twins. Here we go. So here I am in deepest, darkest Dorset with Gary and Paul, the twins. Hello, fellas. Welcome to the Magicians Podcast.
Oh, we're very, very pleased to be here. And thank you very much, Richard, for doing the podcast, because I'm a great fan of it. But one thing I'd like to know is, where is Hudson? Because where's Hudson?
He's probably in Northampton.
Is
he? Probably watching Netflix.
And the other thing I'd like to say is that Unfortunately, I've got a slight problem. Is my watch is broke.
Ah.
So I've heard so much on your podcast about the Turner watch, and
Yes.
I hope the people that make the Turner watch is listening, because I would love a Turner watch.
Well, I'm sure.
And we could share it, so they wouldn't have to send two. They could only send one, and then we'd all be happy. If Hudson's got one, what's going on?
Sorry, fellas, but to be honest, after the last couple of hours I've had, the one thing that you guys definitely don't need is more stuff.
It's only a watch. We need a Turner watch. We'll get some good advertising.
I've had an amazing afternoon here. You've taken me to your various facilities and everything, and I've been doing my research on you, which is been a little bit tougher than normal, because obviously you guys haven't performed for a few years. You've kind of diversified in something else. So during my research, I found an amazing website, which I wish I'd have found years ago, which has really helped me with my preparation for this interview. And it must have been made for people like me who make podcasts, because it just gives a lot of information about my guests. The website is called Company's House. And basically, you guys are making a fortune. That's what I've heard. You're turning over millions.
That's the secret to success, is don't perform.
Gone are the days of the P&O cruises, boys. I mean, this stuff, what you want is a giant rat. That's what I found out.
A London double-decker bus, or a full-size T-Rex. That's what you want.
You know, millions and millions of pounds you're turning over. So congratulations, first of all. And I've seen what you've spent most of it on this afternoon, which is a load of amazing things, and your collectors as well. But let's go back to the beginning of the story, shall we? Because you boys, before you were building and creating and giving things to pantos and all the rest of it, you were performers.
Yeah.
But obviously you're real twin brothers, right? That's not the biggest scam of all time, is it? You are twins.
No, we are identical twins.
When did you get involved in? When did you realise you liked illusions? And
we had the early age of 8 years old with the Paul Daniels magic set.
Yes,
it's a bit tweaked, but that's how it happened. We all, mums and dads always bought the Paul Daniels, and we love magic. We love the whole thing of magic, the surprise, the element. It's just great. And then it fell from the wayside, and we got on with life.
We trained in a small drama school as actors, and then couldn't get any work, and then we decided to go for Bluecoats at Pontins. So we did a couple of years of that. That was great. Met a magician called Lee Mack, and he said, "Oh, I've got some tricks, illusions to sell to you." And of course we bought the old dog-eared, I think it was a Temple of Benize, as I call it, and the Jack Hughes spiker.
Yeah, sword suspension. And Richard and Laura Jarmaine, who were doing an act at the time. We bought some bits and pieces, and he offered his advice. And Canchi & Co. They offered some
because they were there performing in the Pontins at the time, which was one of the biggest sort of family centres where a lot of acts would actually go. Then we decided to become illusionists. I didn't like card tricks. I still don't like card tricks. Card tricks to me are like, just as soon as someone produces a pack of cards, sadly, I just get really bored with them. I like stuff with little props, I guess. We had a bursary from the Prince's Youth Business Trust, which gave us a little bit of money, cash injected, and then we went to Dave Shaw and bought some props from him, and we went to Bill Smith, and we went everywhere trying to find all these different props that we could use.
And at the time there was loads of magic acts. So there was Richard Cadell, there was Sapphire, there was
Paul Cook.
Yeah, there was the Zodiac Brothers. There were there was Labyrinth Paul Cook. So there was loads of acts. We were in the heyday of variety to a point, and then it all started to go.
Let's be honest, you were there right as it was all coming to an end.
This is when because we had everything. We sort of had everything we possibly could propel ourselves into, like sort of future sort of stardom and stuff. Because we were appearing in a helicopter. We were doing things like the Lido, Moulin Rouge. We were going to all the casinos in Portugal,
Spain.
We did Benidorm Palace. So we were in P&O for 6 years with the largest illusion show that's ever been on there since. And so we've had all that, but we had then the Masked Magician, and the Masked Magician, to me and to us, really killed the magic scene until, and thankfully, in the past 5 years, with the help of Britain's Got Talent, Dynamo, with all these sort of people that are coming up, they now, I think it's brought magic, and with Russ Stevens, obviously his development with some of his people that he had in his stable for a while. With all that, that's brought magic back into the scene, and this is a great time for illusionists, particularly. I think this is the time where illusionists are going to excel. But then that's the catch, I guess.
Yeah. Did you guys make a terrible decision, do you think, looking back, that you didn't hide the fact that you had a twin?
No.
We tried it.
That must have been a consideration.
Yeah, we tried it on a cruise ship, and it was, one of us had to hide, and it was just a pain.
And why would you need to do it?
Yeah.
Why would you need to? We were still disappearing from one side of the room to the other, and I was still moving and disappearing and stuff like. We were still doing it.
And the gimmick, the twins, as we were known, that really worked, and we turned work down. It was just, we had a great gimmick. People liked it. It wasn't just a boy and a girl that were doing a magic act. It was two guys plus some dancers.
It's a bit like your act, isn't it? Young and Strange.
Yeah.
You know, not to be impolite, but you've got a geeky, thin-looking guy that needs a meal, a geeky-looking guy that needs a meal. Sorry, and you've got you, the little small fat bloke.
And
that jumps into boxes that you go, wow, that's amazing. It's a gimmick.
No one's ever done that before, and that's why you're touring over the US and you've got all these tours and you're working. But if you compare that to an illusionist that's still wearing, like, God forsake, leather pants and a waistcoat and still rocking out with 80s music and trying to be the David Copperfield, it's been done. It's been done to death, and people just...
Also, with the twin thing, is something I realised actually is that we've had the opportunity to do an effect with an identical twin.
Oh, okay.
And you realise actually that the public don't know about a base, but the public do know that twins exist.
Yeah.
So they do figure it out actually.
Yeah,
Although you think it's an incredibly clever method, it's really not. They go, oh, maybe
They
he or
just
she's
think
got
it's
a twin, you know.
Yeah, because they use twins on, or not twins, but they use sort of similar, identical on the, what tour was that? That was the...
the illusionist lot?
Impossible.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was telegraphed right the way through. You're right. It's telegraphed right the way through the audience that it was someone who looked like it. When you could have done it a different way and made it even more sort of.
When we were doing the illusions, we had an acting career as well, and we did a lot of TV commercials. We've done everything: McDonald's, Ringness Beer, Daily Mouse, and it just went on because twins at one point were in vogue. And Darren Brown, his first series called Mind Control, his first one, we were in that as actors. They brought loads of twins in, and we were there, and we.
If you go into the toilet,
yeah,
there's the original confidentiality agreement that we signed for him.
He signed it, I didn't, so that's why I nicked one.
Very good.
So,
but then what we did, we used our knowledge with doing the acting and everything like that. We put that through onto the illusionists. So rather than us just sit there and go, right, we can get this illusion and we can go and just perform it. No, what we did, we went and got various people, a director, a choreographer, a movement coach. We had all these different people come in, and what these people did was made our act polished like it was. And this is the problem, and that is a huge expense. It's a huge expense.
And you get nothing tangible in return either.
Yeah, but you do. Because what you do, you get a highly polished act and you've got your director. That's why we do a lot of consultancy. Because yes, okay, we're sat there doing nothing and just telling someone what to do. But we're the ones that are seeing the overall picture. And that's why director's always used in theatre, because our base is theatre. So you always need that one person to go, if you do it this way or do it that way, it will look a lot better from the audience point of view. And though, you would sometimes go off, they don't know what you're talking about, but when you then review it and look on the video, you go, yeah, they do.
We used to do our act, and we used to video it, and then we would come off the stage, 2 shows normally, come off the stage in the latter part with the ships, and then watch both shows.
What was how long was that contract you said you did on the ships?
We did
when you had that really big show.
7 years with P&O, and we did contract-wise. We had 9-month contracts. Mainly, we were 9 months contracts over there.
So you did a variety of P&O ships.
Oceana,
Aurora, Arcadia. We were appearing in the helicopter. We were doing the appearing motorbike.
I mean, what do you guys do on a cruise ship during the day when you're there?
Nice.
Didn't do anything.
Did you become alcoholics?
No,
or what was the?
I met double wife, so that might be a good point or a bad
and
point.
I was just being a playboy. And,
Right,
They
okay.
used to call me the playboy because just get up, have breakfast, go and talk to as many people as I possibly could, and swan around there.
Try and sell the merch. And
I
then,
remember we were
plug the
only
merch.
doing one show. We were doing 2 shows
One evening.
every 2 weeks. But we found that they had so many complaints the first couple of times that they decided, would we do 3 shows? Well, we thought, we're here and we can hardly complain because we're not doing anything for 2 weeks. So we did 3 shows and
So why were there complaints? Sorry, I've not.
Because they
followed.
couldn't get into the theatre.
Right.
They couldn't get into the
so
theatre.
people, the theatres are only a certain amount of capacity. They don't take the whole of the ship, as you know. But so we did these 3 shows, so everybody was happy because obviously a complaint on a cruise ship is not very good at all.
And with my business head, I'm thinking more people seeing us, and all the shows are full. More people to buy the merch at the end, or in our lectures throughout.
That's
the
one
ship.
thing you fellas don't need, having walked around your facilities this afternoon, is more branding. I've never seen so much branding in my entire life. I'll tell you what, I'm not sure what your website address is. So,
we never lose anything. It all
Well,
comes
then
back
it's
like
definitely the right way to be about
The
it.
one thing to do is if you've got so many stuff come out, and we had a very you have to realise that when you're doing a get out, and like you know what a get out is, but if you're doing a get out with the lights, you're doing a get out with everything. If you don't put your name on a box, that box goes with the light,
Yes,
guys,
of course,
because
yeah.
it's a flight case.
Yeah.
So therefore, everything has to be labelled up.
Sure.
Otherwise, you lose so much stuff. In fact, one day we actually turned up to watch a show and went backstage to say hello to everybody, and I saw 2 of my flight cases. and they'd been nicked.
Really?
So yeah, they'd been nicked. So they were swiftly.
Unfortunately, because we do so many shows, and this year we did 34 pantomimes plus all the other shows, pantomimes, etc., etc. We did about 48 shows this year. We can't be in every place, so hence we send people, our guys, to it. But again, sometimes stuff goes missing. So if you stick your name on it, stick the website on, 9 times out of 10 it's always going to come back to you. And I think we lost 3 things this year, small little boxes with our logo on it, with our name on it, and it's all coming back to us next week.
So you guys were doing this amazing show on the ships, and I've just seen, you've shown me some of your original brochures, and one of them, which I've still got sat here next to me, talks about how you've got this £250,000 helicopter illusion, which at the time it was a new thing. I assume no one was doing it.
No.
Well, there was a couple of people that do, and you had there was Dirk Arthur did one. Was it
Steve Warwick, yeah.
Warwick.
Big
A
fan.
hero,
of
and we're big fan.
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
big fan. We're big fans.
It's
of
the one
man.
I like was the aeroplane. I love that because did you not see that I just like the aeroplane.
You like the air? It's not as good as the helicopter, in my opinion. But
Because the helicopter's
it's
big.
subjective.
The helicopter's big, and it was very tall, wasn't it?
Well, Tim Clothier told me that it was a real helicopter.
Yeah.
They didn't. It was absolutely amazing.
It's cheaper to build. We've got a flying helicopter that flies over the audience, and it's cheaper for us to go and get a helicopter than to go and build one for the
From
time.
scratch.
The time
And it doesn't.
it looks like a real
helicopter. It is a real, because it is a real helicopter. Some of the ones out there, it doesn't look like a real helicopter. It just, you can't fake it up. You can't, and other helicopter things that we've done for other people, and you've got to use real helicopters. You've got to.
But I just like the plane because of the way it all expanded and just. And it was just, it was, for a mechanical point, I liked all the way that it all came, and he put it out like the aeroplane. Look at this.
Oh well, that's the thing. RPLA, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Brilliant. So let's talk about when you were jobbing illusionists. Effectively, you were going from cruise ships to, as you said, Benidorm and things like that. Is it fair to may I be a Sabrash because it doesn't matter now and it's so many years ago? Did you ever make any money doing that? It seems I've spoken to a lot of illusionists recently who don't make a lot of money.
Because what we did, we stuck by our guns, and we've always stuck by our guns. And and when we were doing that, I would rather sit at home than lower my fee, because I believe that our product, then with the illusionists, was the best product on the market at that time. Now, big-headed, I know, but we always said that we wouldn't cut our fee, and we lost work. However, the work that did come in, we didn't need to do that cheaper work because that was the choice work, and we'd only do the choice work. We wouldn't sort of cut our nose off to spite our face, and held our ground. And therefore, people knew us that yes, we were expensive, but we were worth it.
How would you justify that to a client? If someone came to you and said, "We're looking for an illusion act, we're looking at you, and we're also looking at Tim Clothier, and we're looking at Richard Cadell and Sapphire," how would you explain that to your client?
My first thing is, how much do you think a £250,000 helicopter costs? And they'll get 250,000, and you go, well, that's how much I've got on your stage, and that's going to be a talking point. And all the illusions are not illusions that you can readily go and buy. If we did have one that you could buy, it would have been changed so it wouldn't look like the illusions that we had. So it's all
we were investing in illusions, and for instance, like Richard Cadell was our main competition. We're great friends now, and we laugh about the competition that it was. Oh, the twins are here, and then Richard's here, and
I love Richard. I would watch Richard Cadell and go, I wish, because he was doing the summer seasons and doing his bike disappearance and stuff like that, and we always wanted to do that. It was like, it's funny then becoming friends with him and then talking, going, oh yeah, we were jealous. We were jealous. However, this is where people get jealous again. We were jealous, but what we thought is, we're not going to use that as a bad energy, we're going to use that as a good energy, and this is what we want to do. We want to go high as we possibly can with illusions, and that's the thing where everybody gets jealous, but it isn't. You want to turn that into positivity and go, I'm now going to do that. What can I do to get that?
And like Jamie looked at our helicopter and went, "Oh, I'll do a helicopter," which is great. He's and it worked for him, and it was great, and he used the helicopter for years. Well, good on him. That's a positive thing. If we can make it work, and he can make it work, that's good for magic as a whole. And I think in some respects, magicians are very narrow-minded by saying that, "Oh, why have they copied me, and why have they copied that, and why?" Because it's not really copying, it's just using it and using the idea and then maybe expanding on that idea. And Jamie came up with a fantastic idea to appear as helicopter. It was unique, it was quick.
So you're talking about Jamie Allen.
Jamie Allen, yeah, because he came up with this helicopter idea, and it was a great idea. And that's the thought process that we all should be going. Because magicians are very, I don't know, it's a very strange thing. It's like, it's, you've nicked my trick, I've nicked it, and you go, I think you call it leeching, don't you? But I suppose...
No, that's doing a close-up.
That's a close-up. But it's a very interesting, because, with us, for instance, we needed a mode for a certain animal, and we didn't have it. So we either sculpt it and spend months on it, or I pick up a really good friend of ours, "Hi, have you got a horse mode?" "Yes, I've got one." "Yes, can we rent it from you?" "Oh no, don't worry, but we'll use you another." "Yeah, send a van over and pick it up."
Yes.
And you don't get that with magic. You don't. For some reason, it's this. I don't know. It's a funny.
Solitary, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's not that we don't collaborate or we don't view it as collaboration.
Yeah, and I think you were where were you talking about that? Was it Rodney James Piper you were talking about the collaboration? Nobody wants to collaborate, and it's a shame really, because.
So as an act, and obviously your brothers as well, what roles do you fulfil? What is one of you more practical, the other one's more creative?
As an act, Paul was the box jumper.
I was always the one with the scars.
With the girls.
He was always in the boxes with the girls. Which is nice.
Yeah, and then I was the timer. I was always on the time. I was just taking the pace, moving it on, moving it forward. We'd never...
And what about off stage? What about then, from a business perspective?
I'm the business one, the accountant, looking after money. Paul's the creative one, looking after the tricks, repairing, coming up with ideas, etc., etc.
Building stuff. And
so why did the performing side of things, I don't know whether did you make a decision to stop? Did the work it was dry up? Did you just move?
We just got too busy doing something else. Yeah. That's the thing.
One of the nails in the coffin, we did P&O for 6 years, and we were talking about, we had a new idea of a show, etc., and they were just slashing budgets at the time, and we went, hang on, well, if you're slashing our budget, is it really worth us coming on? Because our ethos has always been
we're worth what you pay us.
Yes. So, and at the time someone was saying, "Oh, can you come and do this for us? Can you come and do this?" And it just naturally progressed into where we are now. It was just an easy.
Or also, people will undercut, and that's in whichever business you go. Someone will always do it cheaper, whatever you do. So you have to bear that in mind, and then let someone else have another go. And if they can do it cheaper, good luck to them. But we couldn't do it that cheaper because we had all this stuff. We had a unit then, so we had all this stuff to produce and manufacture. So it was a running running thing.
Cost, so can't do it.
Do you miss performing?
I don't. No, I miss it. Because obviously I think all performers are show-offs, and I mean that in a nice way, where we do like the limelight, but we get that anyway. It's there when you're having to tell 40-odd people how this is your image of how you want the animatronic horse and carriages to fly over the audience, and you've got 40 people around you all having jobs, then you're performing in that way. So you still... doing that, we're doing this is a performance, and it's right, so you're still performing.
I don't miss living out of a suitcase. That's one thing, and I do when you watch acts, especially magicians. You get sweaty palms and go, oh my god, is that wheel going to fall out, or is that not going to work? And it's but you still get that nervousness, I suppose.
But it is funny because also with P&O, because they were Costa and Carnival, they've changed the way they do things now, where, as I'm aware of, it's all fly-ons, and a lot of our friends do fly-ons, and they stay there for a couple of days, and they spend a lot of time in the airport than they do on the cruise ship. But we're just on the cruise ship for the whole of the 9 months. So that's 2 cabins. We would never ever... Costa tried to get us once to share a cabin, and we said no. And they said, well, if you don't share a cabin, you won't get the job. And we turned around and went, not big-headed, but we said, well, that's not good for us. We're not going to do the job then. And they said, well, you can't do that. We need you. Well, give us 2 cabins and we'll do it. So it's just, sometimes you have to hold your ground.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
What about the buzz of a live audience? Do you miss that?
We get that now.
When you see...
So you can still get that...
When you see the T-Rex, and the full-size T-Rex that we've got, and that's leaning over the audience, it goes down to the front row and it blows CO2 like over the small child in the front, and you can see the children are like scared, and the adults are, and you get all that, and everybody's, and when the T-Rex walks back, you get this huge round of applause, and that's the key now. That is the thing where you go, and obviously it's progression. It's like you can't perform the whole of your life. I know, admittedly, some people do, and well done to them for doing that. But there is a progression in what you do, and we had this so many years worth of experience in performing, and now we can pass that on and sort of go in. That's why we do a lot of the consultancy.
But financially, you're doing a lot better now as well, aren't you?
Yeah, because you can be rather than one place at one time. We can be in over Christmas. We can 48 venues. So financially, the numbers stack up better in our favour now because we're in 40.
But I think sometimes you have this is the other thing, is that you have to change. Change is inevitable. That's what you've got to do. And the people that don't change, then you could rewind magic and you think take them back. Put them back in the 70s, and people would go, oh, it's a 70s act. And when they haven't changed, they don't
evolve, basically.
Evolve, and to just change the look and constantly evolving, and that's what we do from the simple flying system that we had. Now we've gone all on to hydraulics, and it all expands, and so it's every year it's a different change, and that's what you've got to do.
So, as I said, I visited a website to find out all about you. I actually found 2 websites that were very interesting. The other one was a national newspaper, and this was an article from many years ago where you were tipped to win Britain's Got Talent one year. Actually, you were never actually seen on the show. A tiny 2-second clip.
We talked to Amanda about this a few years when she did the Palladium, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that was...
So can you tell us the story from beginning? Why you decided to do it?
Britain's Got Talent, we had one of the execs...
This was many years ago, wasn't it? 2009, something like that?
Okay, probably around about. We'd just done Blue Peter, and they'd just gone, right, you guys are really good. This exec hounded us. And we said, right. We said, no, we're not doing it. And they went, yes, we'll do it. So we went and did the Clearly Impossible, Clear Soaring, the Bill Smith one that we got. It's a great trick. It stormed the place. I know people go, oh yeah, we had a standing ovation. We were one of the first acts on. We stormed it. People were cheering, laughing. Stephen Mahern keeps on threatening us to show us the footage because he has got the footage, but he's never. We had
a standing ovation, and they were saying that Amanda Holden said that we found the new Suzanne Boyle, and I thought, well, that's I don't know whether to take that as a compliment or, but she said we found the next thing. To cut a long story short. Those of you that know Britain's Got Talent, those of you who don't, there's a huge legal thing that you need to do, and you need to sign
more
a
so
contract.
then than now.
And you need to sign these contracts and everything. And the contract that they offered us wasn't suitable for where we wanted to go. And we sadly had to say, I'm sorry, but unless this changes, then we went up to a meeting and with our solicitor, and it couldn't be changed. So we said, well, it's been a great experience. We really wanted to do it, but perhaps another time. And
in the interim, she had gone to a national newspaper, Amanda Holden, and had said she thought you were going to win the show.
Yeah, she was positive. She really loved the, and like, you know, then, you know, you fast forward it how many years it was, and then we were flying her over the audience in the Palladium, and, you know, and she remembered us from, you're the twins, you're the soaring guys, aren't you? And you know, and it's quite.
And we did nail it with a soar.
Yeah.
It's a clear soaring. Sadly, that the soaring was the funniest, wasn't it? Because I remember when we first bought that. And that was a huge. What was the original?
Oh God, it was like about 18,000. Cliff Bradley. A lot of you will know him. Great guy, lovely guy. Pushed us to buy this thing because he was selling it off. He's a great salesman, and he said it's the best thing and the only thing you'll keep. Anything that you'll have this for your whole life. And my God, I would if you said to me, name your price, I wouldn't even give you an answer because it's out there in one of the units, and literally it's goat dust. It's my favourite trick. It's beautiful. It's Bill Smith built
However,
it.
it's just a shame that the ones that bought it all from Bill Smith makes the best one. We've seen them all and we've repaired them all, and the Bill Smith is is the best one out. There is no base on Bill Smith, but obviously there is. If anybody's got a Bill Smith one, bring it down to our workshop and I'll give you 3 to 4 inches more, which is really important.
Because we were putting showgirls in there, so we were always working with tall girls when we were with dancers.
And there's a way,
5'9", 5'10", maybe at a push 5'11".
And there's a way that we found where you can add an extra 4 inches, which is a lot, as you know, in that trick. But Bill Smith makes the best, and it's just a shame, from my personal opinion, that the Pendragons sold it cheap, because it's a shame, because obviously all these people that have spent all the big bucks on trying to keep it exclusive, and then we go, because how much can you pick them up now for?
So they're only like €4,000,
which is a bargain. It's absolutely a bargain.
But now everybody's got them. That's the kicker with it.
So it was many years ago. Can you tell us about what this contract? You've already said it, that this contract.
It was binding of everything we're doing, and it was about 40-something%. It was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous.
You did say that it's not. I don't know, but it's not really like this anymore. But back then,
I don't think it is as bad as
not having any dealings with them. Yeah. But we're still friends with some of the team in Psycho, and they've used us since. So that's so they
wanted 40% of your earnings over the next few years.
And that was also with the hire business as well. That was also our business.
Everything.
So it just wouldn't work for us.
And it was a shame, but it's just one of those one of those things that just didn't work.
But it was a great thing to do, and to say you've done it, and it was never shown. That was the thing. I think you got a little clip.
Yeah, and Stephen Mulhern's got. He's got the whole thing somewhere. So he keeps on threatening us to show us, but we never.
But it was just like exactly what we did when we won the
World Magic Awards.
Gay Blackston's World Magic Award thing, wasn't it? It was
exactly
the
same type of.
And the good thing is the soaring in half, the clear soaring works so well with two twins, because you've got
you don't have,
you don't.
It's like
have
yours.
To do,
you're the perfect act for that. Because you pull it apart yourself. So you and Sam. So
when the lone illusionist does it, the male illusionist, you've always got the hesitant of who's going to pull the boxes.
But then David Penn's got one, and he does it really well.
Yeah, he had it before us.
And he does it really. And he's got Bill Smith, I think, and he, it's in every one of his shows because it's such a strong effect.
Whether you're new to magic or a seasoned professional, Alakazam Magic are here to help. Alakazam have been supplying magic to magicians for well over 20 years. Not only do we carry all the latest and greatest magic tricks, books and DVDs, but we also manufacture one of the finest ranges of magic tricks in the world. The Alakazam name is synonymous with great customer service, educated advice and honesty. So if you're shopping for new magic, Make sure you check out our website, www.alakazam.co.uk, or pay a visit to our fully stocked shop.
And don't forget, because you are a podcast listener, you can receive 20% off the Alakazam Online Magic Academy. This is a fantastic new way of learning magic. There's new content every single month and a brilliant community building up online. Whether you are a full-time professional magician or brand new to magic, there is something for everybody. To receive 20% off, simply enter the code MP20 at the checkout, M for magician, P for podcast 20 at the checkout, and you will receive 20% off your Alakazam Online Magic Academy subscription. You're welcome.
The Magicians Podcast, brought to you in association with the Magic Circle, the world's premier magical society. Are you ready to join the world's most exclusive magic club? Visit themagiccircle.co.uk to find out more.
Gigi-O, free for 30 days. Be a pro. Get Gigi-O.
Karina Fenton says it revolutionised her booking system. Now it's twice as good in half the time. What's she talking about? Well, Gigi-O, of course. Top professional magicians love using Gigi-O to manage their bookings and admin. It's an easy-to-use web-based software that takes care of your inquiries, contracts, invoices, payments, and reports. You can generate professional PDF contracts in seconds and allow your clients to agree them online quickly and conveniently. It will even automatically update the diary on your phone. Read what other magicians say about Gigi-O and take a free 30-day trial right now at getgigio.com, spelled GETGIGIO.com. So guys, let's talk about, you're fascinating to be able to talk to about this actually, because no one else has ever, that I've ever had on this podcast, I think, has got expertise in this area, and that is the flying system. So flying, obviously, first of all, magicians, and then you're at a point now where you're flying people from EastEnders over the audience with 40 feet up. Talk about the process you've gone through with basically learning how to come up with this stuff.
Well, it was an idea we did for Michael.
You had a John Gorn flying rig, I think, didn't you? Was that the first thing you had? Or?
Well, it's great. The problem is with that, it steals whichever way you look at it. It's filament wire, whatever wire it is, but it is wire. So you're trying to hide that, and lighting. It's never any wires. It's very, very. You've got to have some distraction. So you have
practicality in a big show. We found in a big show it takes a quarter of the hanging plot out. So when you're hanging cloths and hanging scenery, that's a huge amount.
And lighting it takes hours.
So to make something quick, we were asked by Michael Rose to make someone fly out over the audience, and basically said, okay, yeah, we can do it. And then we came up with this idea. I saw a Jimmy Jib camera crane, which they put like a camera crane on.
Yeah, I think we've all seen that, when a camera flies over an audience.
So we sort of come up with that idea. So it's not a new idea by any means, because they had another act that did UV stuff, which is Emerson Jane. They had a magic carpet years and years ago back. I never saw them, but they said that was wonderful into the pantomime. So we came up with this idea, made it our own, made it so you can do it on a very well lit stage, and then the rest is history. From making one, we made two, we made four.
We were flying people, then we flew a motorbike with a person, then we thought we'd fly a car with a person, then we flew animals like bats and pterodactyls, and then we thought we'd use it as a crocodile, and then we go into bigger things and coaches, and then coach and horses and animatronic horses on the front.
And each one is just not a counterweight arm. They've got all their little different things.
They're all bespoke to the thing. The only thing we've made three of is the coach and horses, so that we've got three of those sets, and that's the only thing we've ever duplicated. So everything is redesigned, re-engineered, remanufactured. So like I said, we've got about
we've had a couple of companies try and copy it, which they were stopped, and thankfully they went, oh yeah, no problem. We did sort of, that's too close to yours. But go and design something else. Go and make something a little bit more different, and then that's it.
When you say you had stopped, you didn't pick up the phone. We talked. No. This was a legal thing.
No. Talked to him and said, look,
you've taken our idea.
You've seen our idea. There's I'm not going to sit here and say that I've never copied anybody in my early careers, and anybody that says that, then they're lying. Because we've all copied it, and then we've all realised that that's the bad way to go. And if you want something, then go and ask, or if you can't, if they won't let you do it, then come up with a different idea and make it. So yeah, I just rang them up and said, it's not on. It's my bread and butter that you're taking from me, and you could have hired one, and by the time you've made this arm, it would have been cheaper to hire one.
We've had companies come and say, I would like to hire it, and we're more than welcome to show, put people on them, fly them, put them in the car, and then we had one company that decided then they've looked at it, and then they've gone, well, just draw that down, and then it's not as easy as just putting bits of metal together. The calculations for us, it goes through rigorous stress testing, CAD, etc., so that we have that complete compliance with the Lola, which is basically the safe working load. So every time you go into a lift, you see that there's a safe working load of 8 people. So we have to abide by that law and that legislation. So we have a safe working load on everything we lift, and obviously then you have to have the insurance to lift people, because you are lifting a celebrity over the audience, and then you've got loads of people there that could make a claim against you if something drops off or the artist drops off. So there's just it's a massive minefield, but we overcome that. We have safety procedures, etc., and everything is covered to 9.9% safe.
Have you had any celebrities, as you put it, say no when they've seen what it is?
Never.
No, because I talk to them and I sit them down, and if most of them are frightened of heights, and the actor or whoever it is, it doesn't matter who they are, we treat them the same, and we go, look, what you like on heights. Most people go, I don't really like heights. Which is fine, because then you just say, well, let's just put you on it and let's just play with it and see how you go, and then you just gently take them up, and by the time they've known it, within the half hour, you've taught them right to the height, and you're swinging them over, and then you.
A lot of people like flying our stuff, because with steel or any wire, you're either being hung by 2 points, 1 point, 14 points, whatever, but you are being hung on a harness which is strapped around your body, and all your weight is in 1 point, which is basically on your crotch, basically. Whereas our system is slightly different, because you are sat on something. So you're sat as if you're on a chair, or you're sat in a car, or you're sat on a motorbike. But that doesn't come
across when you look at the...
It doesn't look like you're sat down.
You are very comfortable. Yeah. So you can, for instance, Amanda Holden, normally we try and get them to fly around a bit, and then get someone standing to come in and sit in their position. But she wanted to do it, and we were lighting her for nearly an hour and a half, and she was okay with it. So, that's how comfortable they are,
So let's talk about what you guys do now. And that is that effectively you're now a production company, in terms to you build props and special effects, but also then you hire out as well. You have fair to say, a very big contract with Kudos, who put on a lot of the big pantos in the UK, where you're providing things to them, special effects to their panto. How did that contract come about?
Just again, knocking on the door and saying we can do this and we can do that, and very slowly, and then you get where you want to be. But we do other things. We do film, we do TV. So there's loads of stuff in theatre. So there's loads of stuff that we do that branches out, because the special effects market, you can do anything that you sort of want. And we do, and we're known for certain things.
And we specialise in bespoke hire, which people don't really understand. And basically, we'll go to companies, or they'll come to us and say, "Can you make?" And we say, "Yes," or "We can make for you this trick." We tie them into a 5-year contract, so we basically hire it to them. So and that's our business model. We're a hire company. We're like Hertz Rent-A-Car. We buy the stock in, we make the stock, and then we hire it out.
I see. So you're saying what you do is that they come to you and say, "Can you build us a giant gorilla?"
No, yeah.
And you say, "Yes, we can, but you can either just buy it outright?
No, we normally don't buy.
You don't let them buy it?
We try not to buy because obviously we're higher.
What we normally do, we normally go to the client with the ideas, and then it's a collaboration with any of the stuff, the clients, and we go, look, have you thought about having like you said, a monkey? How about having a big monkey? And they go, oh yeah, that's quite a good idea. Or why don't you have a flying taxi? And the flying taxi went to after a sit round with Michael Harrison, the director of Kudos, we went to a London bus. So the collaboration is there, and so we go to one stage to another.
It's a very clever idea, because also you're making it more affordable to the client because you're able to spread the cost over 5 years as well, aren't you?
But then some of the pieces are lost leaders. So, like for instance, the Dragon that came in at just under £300,000 that was in the Palladium this year. We'll never get our money back out of 5 years. But then that's a showpiece for us, so we can go to the marketplace and say, look, this is what we build. Right. This is a massive... And
also there's loads of stuff we can do. We can put that into all the Comic-Cons. We can put it into shopping centres. We can put it into other shows. So there's loads of stuff that you can do, but it's a niche.
Corporates like our stuff because it's completely new. It's not just like, it's an ice bar. Whoever works in corporates, you know that you're going to see an ice bar. You're obviously going to see a close-up magician, which is a tick because you're all making money out there. But then you all see these, standard things. Whereas we're completely unique, and they say, a gorilla.
We've just done a comedy show with a giant rat. You talked about the giant rat before. We've got 2 of those, and they wanted this giant rat. And it's great because we've already got one. We've already got 2. So which size would you like? And they said, we'll have that one. And
we've just done an Indian film again that they wanted a rat and a flying system and a flying car and all these things. And, it's just, it's there. We just wheel it out onto the truck and off it goes. We supply technicians. Maybe one of us will go up there and shoot it and then drop it down. So it's a lot easier than theatre.
So you've gone from U2 and some stuff you were hiring out to now you're at a point where, you've shown me today you're in 3 warehouses, four.
Three. Yeah, if we've got 4 units, various sizes from nearly 17,000 square foot. Then we've got 2 nearly 8,000 square foot, and then we've got this one we're in at the moment, which is 4,500 square foot.
So. But also, I've seen people who work for you.
Sat
around. How many employees do you have?
We have.
Depends, really.
Yeah, it just depends. Employees on the books, we have 6, and then we go contractors. So in our busiest periods, we can have another 20, 25 people on board, which is a lot of tea and coffee, and a lot of milk. But
so when does the process begin? Let's say, you've got this contract with Kudos, and this year again they've got 34 pantomimes going out or whatever. You're going to be supplying to that many. When will that process begin?
We started in November, October last year.
For the following years?
Yeah, pre-planning. Yeah.
Right.
Having
so
ideas.
About 13 months in advance.
Yeah.
And then we'll sit down, we'll go through about this time, we'll go through in sort of February, March, we'll go through what we all the ideas that we've had. We'll get green lit on what they like, and then we just start to build it, and then it takes all that time up until December to build the items, as well as juggling with the TV. We've got a horror movie that's coming, so that's huge, another big thing. So we've got all these things that we've got to make, so it's just careful planning. And
then when December comes around, you travel around yourself to make sure everything's working all right?
Sometimes I still like to set the stuff up. Certain clients want to see us because we're the sort of name, and they're not that, we've got a great team.
We've got 14 guys.
Yeah, we've got a great team that does it. But sometimes they like the reassurance, and we'll go and see every single pantomime during its run, or we normally go and see whatever show is on. We always go and, if it's a show that tours, say in the summer or something, we're normally there every couple of weeks just to say hello, what's happening, is everything okay, just to give them some support. That's the thing.
Yeah, we try and do we do a 24-hour support. So if someone, for instance, if something breaks, if something goes wrong, etc., we're there within the next day. If we can not get there in the day, for instance, Richard Cadell has just bought, and he convinced us to buy it, and obviously Sooty is his brand, so it was pointless hiring it to him. A state-of-the-art animatronic Sooty. It is beautiful. Animatronics are my thing. I love doing it. It's a passion of mine. And if that were to go wrong, we would be in his theatre the next day, if not the same day. Problems with animatronics, they are renowned to go wrong. It's little motors, little radio frequencies, little gearing, and they do break. So that's what we try and do is offer that service, and that's what one thing our clients do love is the service behind the product.
So I'll tell you what's occurred to me actually when we're sat here and I'm looking around seeing all this amazing stuff and talking about all the things you guys have done, is what you're not members of the Magic Circle.
Yeah.
Why is that?
You have done your research. I think the Magic Circle is a great organisation and does fantastic stuff for magic in general. However, our experience has been really bad.
You've had bad experience?
Yes, we have. We've perhaps they could write it, I don't know. But we had... I didn't like it because women weren't allowed in the circle software. I thought that was disgraceful, and I never wanted to join where women should be treated equal. But that all went down the road. They saw the errors of the way, and we were working in Portugal at the time. We had a show, me and my brother and like 16 female dancers, and we were doing the appearing helicopters. And I rung them up because I'm thinking it's about time we joined the Magic Circle. Everybody kept on saying, "Oh, you're in the Magic Circle." So I thought, enough's enough. So rung them up, and I had 2 conversations with this one guy who said that we needed to come in and do an audition. And I said, well, I can't because I've got an R-22 helicopter, and that was when you were at the old headquarters, and I can't physically get it in there. And I said, I don't do card tricks.
Oh, I think you underestimate what you can fit in that lift.
You don't. This was the old one. This was the old quarters.
It's one of Strange and I's proudest ever achievements was that we once damaged the lift with an illusion.
Oh, there you go.
What, the squeeze box?
It wasn't the squeeze box,
Wasn't
but
it?
yeah, that was quite like a...
And,
just to be clear, we paid for it.
So we
We didn't pay for it.
So we just left quickly. So he said that we need to do an audition. I said that's just not possible. So I left it. Then the itch was still there that I wanted to join them. We wanted to join the Magic Circle. So 6 months later, we rung up again, and they said, no, you have to come and do an audition. I said, I can't. I'm in this show. We're appearing R20. Let me send you a video. I'll send you brochures. We sent the video and we sent the brochures, but they still said we had to come in and do the audition. So we gave up then. So we initially then told this story to when we were on the cruise ship to a couple of people that were high up in the Magic Circle. And both of them said, yes, no problem, we will get you in. It's no problem. It's a formality. You should have been in. We cannot believe that they haven't put you in the first place when you have sorry about it, but we never got in there, and that was it.
And so when was the last time you tried?
Oh, 4 years ago. Yeah, 4 years ago.
And I love the Magic Circle as a business point of view, and I'm not going to name names, but we pick up a hell of a lot of jobs from members of the Magic Circle. Some are high up, and this is we're being as transparent as we can with you guys, and some of the prices, my God, I don't know how they do it.
We know one director that it took us years to get in there because he was let down by this one magician because he promised the earth, but he gave him nothing. And you go, and it does everybody an injustice.
The Magic Circle are great because they bring the young talent of magic, which is the most important. We have a program within our business for model makers, and they're the people that we use, and they come from university, college. I've got a 14-year-old girl that wants to be in our industry, and they come and do work experience for us.
I'll tell you what, let's put this out there. Right, we have a huge amount. We've probably got the biggest stock of illusions probably in Europe, as you've seen, Richard.
Hans Klopp is maybe more.
He hasn't got a T-Rex.
In terms of stuff.
Illusions.
I say the word, guys? In terms of the amount of shit you have, you definitely have more than Hans Klopp.
Let's put it this way. Well, we've got a. Let's rephrase that then. We've got a lot of illusions, as you've seen, right? And what we really want to do is to encourage and to take someone into a huge new ball game and era in magic. So if you are inclined that you want to play with some big illusions and you want to see the world and you want to make a little bit of money, which is what we all want to do, then drop us an email, send us some photographs, and let's get you. And why don't we bring the magic back into, because that's what I always want to do, is to put magic in the forefront of TV. And I know now is the time to get someone out. And I don't even think you need to be interested in magic, because obviously you listen to the podcast, but you don't need to be that good, because the thing about anything is with a bit of practice, and if you practice, you'll become the expert. So you just need the willing that you want to practice. So if there's anybody out there, just drop us a line. Go to.
So when you say they get to earn a little bit of money as well.
Of course, yeah.
Do you guys get to earn a lot of money? Is that
It's investment. It's investing into all our futures, and whatever. For instance, I know Russ is doing BGT again, and that's great. People moan at him and slag him down about but well done, Russ. Great for you, because the more people see magic, the better it is for all of us. Which I don't think some people.
As long as it's good magic.
As long as it's good magic. It's great that he does that and he puts the time, and it's great that you do this as well, Richard, because if you didn't do this, magic's not out, and we're not learning from each other. And I think that's the most important thing. We've got to learn from each other, because we've all got a very big knowledge base. So if we could combine that all, then we're all laughing. And it's
when we used to perform and consult, people always used to worry about that we were going to nick their ideas. And I sort of get that. We're honest as the day is long. But now we don't perform, so we go, well, yeah. There's no thing. So that's why a few people have come to us now and gone, oh, do you mind sort of consulting a little bit on us? They've seen what we do. And we go, yeah, no problem. Because there's no, agenda that they think that we have, but we haven't got an agenda. All we want to do is to make money, because we have to make money, because that's the one thing that we have to do to survive. However, what we do, like with all the other magicians, is we do something that we love, very passionate about.
And we want to give, like I say, with the model making side of things, we have this program where we put kids from uni, from schools, into our facilities for months at a time sometimes, and sometimes that does cost us a lot of money because they make a lot of mistakes, and some of them are really good, but you're giving something back, and I think if we can all give something back to the young kids that are starting, then it will be great, because we're all going to benefit in the long run.
I'm sure if we find a really good talent, obviously we're going to make money, but then we've invested on all this money on illusions and everything.
I suppose it's like Rodney James Piper over in, admittedly he's making money out of the magicians that he's using, but he's giving so much back. There's not many stages that magic can go there, and it's great that he's doing that.
So where will you guys? It's not you guys as such anymore. Is it? It's a business. Where will your business hopefully be? Sort of 5 years from now. Have you got a plan of where you want to go?
Well,
4 more warehouses full of stuff? Or
you never know. You never know. And that's the fun with this business, is you never quite know where you're going to end up, and you could end up at the top, or you could end up at the bottom. You never know, and that's what makes the business so interesting.
Let's take this full circle back to your accounts on Company House. God, I wish I'd have had this facility when I interviewed O'Connor years ago. It would have been fascinating.
Apparently, he's done really
he's
well.
Got he's got this mansion in LA or something.
His podcast,
unbelievable.
We still in Dorset. How does that work out? We love Dorset. Dorset's great. We live 10 minutes away from the beach.
Is it fair to say the cash flow must be a bit of a problem at times when you're outlaying for this enormous stuff? You said that prop cost £300,000 to make.
Lloyd's Bank.
Right,
we love them. We love the horse. The advert that they're running at the moment with the horses going over the beach.
So
Lloyd's Bank.
That's the way to do it. That's the way. I'm going to go and get myself a loan and get myself a giant crocodile. That's what I'm going to do. Guys, thanks for being...
You can buy one.
I don't want to sign up for 5 years, guys.
No, you can just buy it.
I only want to enjoy it for 1 year.
We'll make a bespoke one for you.
This is brilliant. This has been a great podcast. Thanks so much for doing it.
No, thank you.
And I really appreciate your time, and thanks for showing me all of your toys. It's been brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent. That was Gary and Paul the Twins. I hope you enjoyed that. If you've not seen their work, take a look at their website, thetwinsfx.com. It has some great photos of all the amazing stuff they're involved in and some really good video content as well. I think you'll get the full picture if you take a look. That's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. We will be back again, of course, next Friday with another brand new episode of the Magicians Podcast. I'll see you then. Have a great one. Take care. Bye-bye.